Hi, my name is Mail, and I've had agoraphobia since about 2001. So we're looking at about 10, 11 years. Um, it began with panic disorder, um, which surrounded a condition called agoraphobia, which was the fear of using toilets, any toilets that were not my own. Due to shame, embarrassment, etc., which then developed into the fear of having toilet accidents because the anxiety and the medication made my bowels incredibly loose. Um, so that was quite a large chunk at the beginning of why I then went into agoraphobia. So from the agoraphobia, I spent quite some time having those all together, but nevertheless, I was only housebound for 3 months completely in one block. During that stage, I was more or less bedroom bound, so I just wouldn't even get out of bed. Absolutely terrified of living, terrified of every sensation I had, every feeling I had, terrified of spending another minute feeling this terrified. It was beyond panic, and I was having panic attacks. Well, they were cyclical, so I was having, as I was coming down from a panic attack, I'd have another panic attack starting, and it lasted like that for about 3 days until eventually I was sedated. Um, I really didn't. I'd done CBT, and my background is actually in psychology, which doesn't help. Knowledge doesn't help sometimes. Um, so I really struggled for a long time accepting the concept of facing fear because I'd got it into my head, which was completely wrong. But it's an irrational illness, so guess what? You're going to have irrational ideas. That once a panic attack had got past a certain point, you couldn't stop it. You had to now endure it. And so I kind of got it into my head that if the fear became too much, I was going to have a toilet accident. This is what was going to happen. Oh, I had a very, very, very bad breakdown when they messed up my medication. I was about 8 years into agoraphobia. And I'd been working and travelling and doing all the things you can, but I still had agoraphobia. And in this breakdown, I completely lost the plot altogether. I didn't know what day it was. I just spent most of my time on all fours in bed, crying hysterically, because it was that traumatizing just to experience the overwhelming, constant sensations of terror. Um, and the only thing that could alleviate it, despite the fact that I was a married mother, was my mum. I kind of regressed and went back to I need my mum stage. So from there, we developed monophobia. So for a long time, I was afraid of being on my own. And my mum would have to turn up every day at my house, 6 in the morning, get into bed with me because I wasn't leaving the bed. Whilst my husband looked after the children, he had to take time off work. And that was during that 3 month really bad period. But as time got better, I started getting out. But the monophobia hung around massively. But it wasn't about me being on my own. It was about me being on my own with my children. If my children had an accident and needed to go to hospital, I couldn't take them. So that fear and that pressure and that constant what if which basically is a massive factor to this illness, just held on to so tightly that I found it nearly impossible to even be alone with my own children for 20 minutes, because it develops massively through avoidance. Now, as I say, I had done CBT and stuff in the past. Let me have it. Had done CBT, I'd done occupational therapy, I'd done medication, I'd done counselling. I think I wasn't ready to accept it. Quite frankly, I wasn't ready. It didn't matter how right they were, I was resisting. Because it's really, really hard to get it into your head that you are actually causing this. Because the obvious answer is, why on earth would I make myself feel like this? But it's not that simple. It's not like we're making a conscious decision to go along and say, I know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to terrify the hell out of myself, so I give up my entire life. That certainly is not part of it. What happens is your self-belief, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, everything gets shredded. And all you're left with is this fear. But you fuel the fear with your thoughts, with your avoidance, with your actions. And so eventually you are just left with nothing but fear all the time, all day. Now, it was, for me, Claire Weeks, who absolutely got to my head, sorted me out, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it now. Panic piece, definitely go for it. Made a lot of sense to me and was really helpful. I'm a very open person. I've never been inhibited about discussing my mental health. Ever since I've had it, I've been very open. I will tell anyone, people at the bus stop. I really don't mind, because I don't see it as something that people should be ashamed about at all. Like, are people ashamed of epilepsy? You know, it doesn't make sense to me why it's a shame factor, because it's an illness. It's not a dangerous illness in the sense of we're all going to go around murdering people. Those are murderers. And I don't see that anybody can be ashamed for anything that they have no control over. Anyway, nobody has gone out wanting this to happen, so how on earth should they say, oh no, I'm weak? Wow. Well, put it this way. If to me, 20 years ago, experienced what I went through while I was in that 3-month bedridden stage, I wouldn't have got out of it. I would never have got out of it. Because I wasn't strong. Not then. And ignorance is bliss. It really is. And living in like this is incomprehensible for the outside world to understand. And so it's not necessarily, as far as I'm concerned, their fault. There are people with other conditions, other phobias, I don't get, because I don't have that phobia. But nevertheless, I don't stand there and go, oh, a bit odd, a bit weird, because everybody's odd. Everybody is weird. Nobody has managed to get through life unscathed. There are issues. Some people are going to self-medicate on alcohol. Some people are going to be workaholics. Some people are going to crave love and affection and become active. But everybody's got an issue. So what makes mine worse than anybody else? Doesn't. Anyway, so bye. Oh, before I go, like just a minute. I have 2 groups I do on Facebook. One is a confidence one, and one is for agoraphobia. And I have 2 pages that I do. One again is for agoraphobia. The other one is for anxiety and panic disorder. And we are currently working on the front of spread the love, not the stigma. So, bye guys.